In 1947, a group of blacks was dissatisfied with the way the conditions were in Rutherford. So they decided to build a post, a place that they could call their own, a place that they could call their own to have a Memorial Day celebration, 4th of July, any type of these events that they could get together and come to celebrate. And it was just a place they could unite and feel comfortable in. From there, they started building, and they started getting material from, as I indicated, from different demolished buildings, marking Yates of World War I veterans, helped canvass the town. He was instrumental in getting people together because he kind of knew a lot of people in town. From there, they just started building the post. They were allotted a parcel of land on Meadow Road, which became a 58 Meadow Road. At that time, it wasn't as you see it today. It was a meadow, which stands for meadow, which was more like a swamp. It wasn't considered a swamp area, but it was a parcel of land that the town gave to them for $1 a year for 25 years. They obtained a charter that was recognized by the state as Murray-Hodge Post 453, Rutherford, New Jersey. The initial meeting took place at the Fire and Hose Engine Company, number 3 on Union Avenue. That's where they met. Most of the meetings was held there, is my understanding. Most of the meetings was held there because that was a place that they could get more people to come together, discuss ideas, discuss a plan of action, draw up plans for this building. In 1947, in order to get blacks together was very uncommon. But yet, as you see and recognize that a group of blacks joined together. In the midst, there might have been some argument, but yet there was unanimously agreed to, we want to build a post, a place that we could call our own. In their spare time, they would come down here, work nail by nail, start building everything. And as you look at the educational factor back at that time, for blacks, to have all this education, if you kind of, look back, and per se, they probably got some help from other people, but they were more or less putting the plans together, kind of proving the plans. This building here, at one time, the plan, I saw the plan, that was they were having a building on top of this building. So this showing you that, they had some ideas, they had a plan, a future plan for another generation, for per se, me to come in and, and just continue to work and build upon something that they have started. They say, our plant, some waters, some give the increase. Yates, Span, Tuskegee Airmen, who brought us credentials to the post. The Laval's brothers, who had 6 brothers at one time, brought us history to the post. We had other names as Joseph Cisco, who lived in the community, grew up in the community, went to school in the community, clout within the community. John Underwood, I think he's from East Rutherford, Lou Alexander, all these people grew up in Rutherford. So they had, not only did they have clout, they had friends who supported them. These are some of the people, Calvin Span, went to school with them. He left, went into service before he graduated, but all these, coming back, Jones, Lee, a lot of names. I don't want to miss any of the names, but there are, a lot of names that on down the list. You can just name them. Yes, we had members from East Rutherford, Passaic, Hackensack, Lodi, Newark, all of these black veterans. You know, I said, hey, what are they doing in Rutherford? What are they doing in Rutherford? They're building a post. We want to be part of it, you know. The membership started off around about 39, you know, probably within a year's time, because veterans, black veterans, you know. Of course, there was, my understanding, there was one woman. I think her last name was Chase. One woman, but all these, you know. And then it grew and grew and grew. It got up to 60 at one time. They were still building and building and building. People hear about things that they want to be a part of. So they want to be a part of it. So they work at it. Yes, Post 453 played a valuable part in the community, especially when it comes to Boy Scouts. They had programs here for Boy Scouts, gave out trophies. Some of the local boys was in the Boy Scouts, so this was a place, so you can see this was a place big enough to accommodate the people. Yes, yet it was a neutral place that people could come and just fellowship. They participated in the Memorial Day, 4th of July, Labor Day. All of these were part of the community. You know. Back in those days, they used to give, you know, fill you up with hot dogs. Recently, the place have been in diarrhea of repairs. The membership was declining. Bergen County decided, due to lack of membership, lack of participation, lack of attending meetings, that they were going to take a charter. If my memory serves me correct, I think it was on June the 10th that the Bergen County came in to take our charter. And I stood up and said, I'm going to run for commander. You know, actually saying, before you take your charter, I'll try to fix a broken situation. To me, this was like in a win-win situation, because what did I have to really lose? Any progress that I made would be an establishment to the name. We didn't succeed, at least we had the names out there. Mark Eugene Murray and William Coleman Hodge, and those other names. So from there we start having meetings. Megan Grant, I think it was June the 30th, put an article in the Bergenite giving us credibility. Linda Moss, I think it was in August, the first part of August, gave us more publicity in the Record. All of these start helping us generate income. Income start coming in. People still donating. Manufacturing group donated to Ruth. GAF, I must mention GAF, donated to Ruth. When I came here, I saw GAF donated. I was happy and pleased because I had worked for the company for 10 years. So I was pleased for them. And somebody who, doing the roof, they said, hey, don't put my name in the paper. Don't even mention my name. I'm volunteering my service. I just want to be a good Samaritan. I said, okay, as far as I'm concerned, I will not mention your name. If your name is not there, it's not because of me. Finally, we got the roof on, started making patches here and there, a little paint here, cleaning up inside, start renting the place, getting rental. Because without the roof, you know, you can't rent because water going to come down. You know, so and we just start having chicken and waffle, which we'll probably have another one soon, and you're cordially invited. And things just continue. Membership started increasing. Now we have membership. See, at that time, a membership was not only due to the lack of participation, but also was due to members moving away and not being contacted. So I pull up an old list that was supplied to me, start contacting these people, and they found out, you know, I guess my name was much more gratified than I know. I had more clout than I thought it had, or more people knew about me than I knew. You know, it was, you know, people from Virginia got sending his dues, New Jersey started sending in his dues, New York started sending his dues. I found our membership was top. As far percentage-wise, our membership was the greatest in the Bergen, in Bergen County, percentage-wise, Bergen County. Everybody was looking at this little post. The future holds a lot. By we reestablishing ourselves, we're reestablishing ourselves within the community. And every time you see a little paint, a little window, we're reestablishing ourselves, making it a place that people are going to be interested in. So now it's out there, so the community, see, not the post, but the community, I don't think they're going to let this place fall down because of the history. See, they know the history now, you know. So if you're a history buff, you know the history. So you're going to protect that history. The original plan was to have a second floor building. And we do have a lease now, 25-year lease. So sometime I think about this when my granddaughter happened to, who was the Secretary of State, happened to ride by Meadow Road. They can still look at the building and said, back in 2017, my grandfather was commander of that post.
Murray is Mark Eugene Murray, and he was a private in the United States Army, served in World War I. His family was very prominent here in Rutherford. He unfortunately died and never returned back from World War I. His brother did come back. His brother James also served in World War I and suffered horribly from the gas that they experienced over in Europe. But he did survive, and he had a gentleman as a son who was a World War II veteran. That was Donald Murray. So yeah, the Murray family is quite a history here at this post. There's a disconnect. Yes, Private William Coleman Hodge served in World War I. His name is emblazoned on Rutherford's World War I monument. But that's about the extent of the knowledge that anyone had. There may have been some knowledge at one time when that monument was dedicated back in 1920, but all of that was lost. So all you really had was William Coleman Hodge, deceased, World War I veteran, and there was one piece of information that he died in Virginia Beach, Virginia. Well, a few years ago, Bill Galloway, the former commander here, and I were talking. He wanted me to help with the history of this post. He also wanted to know if I could help find more about William Hodge. So I started in to research this gentleman, and it was a puzzle. It really was. But since I knew he died in Virginia, there had to have been a record. There had to have been a record of his death. So I sent away and got his death certificate. And that really opened up a whole lot of avenues in terms of information about him. It told us, of course, when he died, exactly when he died and why he died. And it told us about the burial provisions that were going to be made. And from there, I began to research him and how he came back. His body was returned to Rutherford. Why was that? Why was his body returned to Rutherford? After all, he was born in Virginia. Well, it seems that, by the way, he was 38 at the time that he died. It seems that William Hodge and his family were from Danville County in Virginia. He himself spent a number of years there, and they came up to Rutherford in the early 1900s. He was here, William Hodge, was here, we know, as of 1910. But in my opinion, the most important period of his life came in 1917, and that's when he enlisted in the United States Army. And he was sent down to Virginia to serve as a stevedore, a soldier stevedore. And that was an important role there, because that was the embarkation of thousands of soldiers who were going to fight in Europe. He played a very important, pivotal role there. But little is known about it. And unfortunately, disease was very prevalent in those camps. Malaria was prevalent because it was in the water area, and mosquitoes were being bred there, and the camp itself was plagued with things like pneumonia and tuberculosis, and that's what got William Hodge. He was stricken with tuberculosis. He spent a good 6 weeks in the hospital there at Camp Stewart, and died on February 22nd, 1918. He comes back up, and he's brought back up here to Rutherford because his family, he had enlisted from Rutherford, and his family was here. He had a sister, Ettie Alexander, her married name, and he had another sister who had married Robert Smith. Her name was Bertha. They made arrangements for his burial. Now, they were able to make those arrangements because he was a war veteran and he was given certain benefits for the burial. Now, remember, this is 1918. Money is short. They lived over here on Spring Street, which is now Eastern Way, and they came up with enough money for his burial. Now, how this happened, I don't know, but nevertheless, when the funeral undertaker, who was Edward Hunt, handled his burial, he somehow or other was buried as Hogue, H-O-U-G-E. So there again is another difficulty in finding out who is Hodge. I was able to look at the burial records. I was able to find where he was actually buried. And now we come up with probably the most hurtful disparagement of all, and that was he was buried without a stone, without a grave marker. Here was this gentleman whose name is emblazoned on this post, the Murray-Hodge Post. His name is down on the World War I monument. Calvin Spann calls these gentlemen our heroes, our military heroes. Mark Eugene Hodge, or Murray rather, and William Coleman Hodge. They are our heroes. So here's a hero who's buried without a stone. And I brought that to the attention of Bill Galloway, who brought it to the attention of the current commander, Charles Gunn, and they've been working to rectify that. Fortunately, it is going to be rectified, and quite well, I would say, in a ceremony that they're planning. So the story of Hodge, to me as a former journalist, was a tremendous challenge to find him, to find what happened to him, to try and put some flesh, on the bones and who he was. One of my biggest disappointments is that we have not been able to find an image, even a description, so that I could take it to an artist and have a drawing made. And maybe we can, we're still hunting. We have found descendants which is remarkable. I mean, after all, it is World War I, and there are a few in here in New Jersey and a few in Virginia. So hopefully when this ceremony takes place in September next month, we'll have some of those folks joining the luminaries from the Post and Rutherford and wherever else at that gravesite. That's about where we are, and I'm very, very pleased to have been participant in that whole exercise.